fearful.
Yeah, now the next question, that is an obvious question. What will be the cost of this program? Because it is not mentioned.
Hello, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Pilot Podcast, India's #1 podcast for pilots and aspiring pilots. We'll be completing
Yes.
2 years of Pilot Podcast in this March.
We did complete 2 years already, right? Or no? Oh,
In
we
March.
will
No,
complete
we will
in
complete.
March.
Yes.
Who's counting, right? We are going to do this for quite some time, as long as you want us to.
Yes. And we have a couple of good news to share with you guys.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
one of them being Nilay will start his airline training in this month. So congrats to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And so now we'll try to utilize our time whenever we three are together to shoot podcast for you guys and share the knowledge we have with you so that you can walk the same path to become an airline pilot.
Definitely.
Absolutely. There is another good news for you. That good news you would be really excited to know about, and we will be discussing a lot more detail into that
Yes.
particular news. That is,
We'll discuss
Yes.
it at the end of the podcast.
yes,
So before that we'll discuss couple of things.
yes.
Okay, and one of them is a very hot topic. And we do get a lot of questions like, sir, can I do a cadet pilot program or conventional? Or can I join cadet pilot program or conventional? Which one is better?
Correct.
Yes, so that is, I would say it has various factors to consider before deciding which program to go on. Okay, so first of all, before moving into the factors, what we can discuss or we can let them know is what is a conventional pilot program?
Yeah.
Conventional pilot program is that in which aspiring pilot would continue with the entire pilot training on his own or on her own, and thereafter a CPL. Once the entire pilot training process is completed till CPL or type rating, depending on their choices, and thereafter apply in airline. So an airline selection process would happen after their CPL or type rating. That is conventional pilot program. And in case of cadet pilot program, airline selection process happens before starting the entire pilot training. So before that, the things that is required and must to be done is medical, class 2 medical, class 1 medical. Apart from that, it is preferred if they have cleared their DGCA exams so that they are ready to go directly for flight training as their selection process is over, and they need not wait and need not have that timeline of 4 months before they could clear their DGCA exam, because those students are given very specific, very limited time period. 4 months is almost about one attempt, because if 3 months you complete your syllabus for all the 3 subjects, and then if that candidate clears, well and good. If in case that candidate does not make it in that attempt, then definitely there is a cooling period of 42 days by DGCA before the next application is processed for next DGCA exam. So in that case, or definitely 4 months would get over. So he or she will not be able to get another chance, and that candidate would be out of cadet pilot program. So it is preferred and strongly recommended to clear the DGCA exams before going for this pilot program.
Another point I'd like to add to this intricacy that clear DGCA exams beforehand is that when someone clears DGCA exams, they get a kind of onboarding to aviation.
Correct.
Right? They start to understand the terminology. They start to understand what are the instruments in the airplane, how do airplanes navigate from point A to point B, then what is the weather. And matter of the fact, like meteorology, once you have studied, it is like you can see every single day that what's going on and all of those things. And then now you can at least start understanding what other pilots in your surrounding or pilot community is talking about. And that state of having the pilot's mindset in that cadet pilot assessment is very beneficial, I feel.
Correct.
Like a non-aviation person, the way that person would, the lens through which that person looks at the world is different than that of a pilot. Yeah, a student pilot is learning to do it, but an experienced pilot would look at the world in that way. And once someone has understood that, then it is way easier to pass the cadet pilot assessment.
Correct.
That is what I think.
Yes, and by clearing DGC exam, it doesn't mean that just clear the DGC exams. So when you're studying for your DGC exams, preferably join the best ground school that is there, okay, like I did for myself. And make sure you understand the concept, because this is the foundation of your pilot career. Once you understand the concept at the very beginning, once you go for your CPL training, everything will connect. Plus, it will, if you're going for Cadet Pilot Program interview or airline interview, the technical section would be strong if you understand the concept. But if you just mug up things and go and clear the paper, and then when you go for the airline interview or Cadet Pilot Program interview, the technical section won't be that strong.
Yeah.
So the interviewers will definitely know, okay, you didn't understand the concept. Because most of the technical question asked in the airline interviews are conceptual based, not like, okay, define what is stall. No. It's more of the concept.
Yeah.
Okay, when does
application
of information.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
For sure. That is about Cadet Pilot Program. And now getting back to the topic of cadet versus conventional. Now more airlines are getting cadet pilot programs.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right. And that is why we immediately sat to make this podcast like same day.
Yes.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
there will be certain news that probably we'll talk about as well, or we don't know if we can yet talk about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, and
So-
Big
for-
things brewing, guys. Big things
Yes.
brewing.
And for the Cadet Pilot Program, so in short, if anyone doesn't know what is a Cadet Pilot Program, so before you even start your pilot training, you give the airline interview. Once you get selected, then the airline will allocate you the ground schools, the flight schools, and where to do your conversion, where to do your type rating. And then once you successfully clear all the exams and you meet the airline standards, then you have a job assurance saying that you will be hired by the airline depending upon the airline vacancies.
Correct.
Okay, there's no job guarantee, there's job assurance. So terms and condition and job assurance a little bit different.
And one thing I noticed after actually completion of CPL and then going for a type rating, that there is a kind of, I'd say, divide between the pilots that have done their flying with conventional pathway and the pilots that have done with cadet pilot. Like cadet pilots would consider conventional pathway in a different way, and the conventional pathway would consider cadet pilots to be alright, they got it easy kind of thing. Matter of the fact, well, this will get a lot of comments about this topic, but no, even after paying the money that there is, it is not easy. Cadet Pilot Program. Sure, if you meet the standards of training, yes, you do potentially get into an airline, but you have to meet the standards.
Yes, and to give insight to support the statement, so let's say if we are doing our flight training, we are in the private pilot license phase.
Yeah.
Okay, so you give certain exams, so every report is generated by the flight school and sent to the airline. So if a student is not able to perform to the standards, then there is a warning issued to the cadet, and then if the student is not able to perform still, then that person might be out of the Cadet Pilot Program as well. So at
Correct.
any given point, you have to perform. Without
Correct.
performance, you cannot progress. And
Correct.
each and every report, whatever you perform, is submitted to the airline. So most of the students don't know about this. Once they get into the Cadet Pilot program, they come to know. And the conventional students, they don't know, okay, this is what happens actually in the Cadet Pilot program. So that's why they have a notion that, okay, Cadet Pilot program is easy. You
Yeah.
just have the money, you can go for Cadet Pilot program and you get a job.
Yeah.
It's not like that. But yeah, this is a very small part. There are more things into it which we can't actually
correct.
discuss here. But yeah, this is a very small part just to help you understand.
Yeah. And
The
even
only-
the assessments for the level of preparation and for the level of experience that the cadet pilot goes for those assessments are relatively tough. Sure, I mean let's put it this way. The interview and the assessment. You are a conventional pathway pilot, right?
Candidate, yes.
Candidate, okay. The interview and the assessments that you did give back in 2014, 15. 14 or 15? 15.
15 beginning.
Yeah,
Mm.
15 beginning. Yeah, applied in 14 and gave in 15. If you were to give those assessments right now, you probably can just walk to that exam right now and pass it without any further preparation that you are at, because you have spent 8 years into doing this. So for your level of experience and exposure to the aviation industry, right now that exam is nothing.
But the level of assessment is not exactly the same for Cadet Pilot Program.
No.
And then for
Because I understand. So
Mhm.
that is where
There is a separate,
I'm bringing this home. Okay, I'll bring this home. So for you right now, passing CPL holder recruitment exam is no difficulty, right?
Mhm.
But you won't go for that kind of examination right now. Right now, you will go for a command interview. Okay, you are a captain, I understand. But say you are going to Emirates, okay? Hypothetically, okay, you are not. She is right here. She is not going anywhere. She has CNTAA students. She won't go anywhere. The airline that she works for, she'll stay there and continue with CNTAA students. That is what her plans are. But hypothetically, if you were to go to Emirates, you will have your level of interview, right? Now, CPL holders expect that their level of difficulty of interview is way more than that of cadet pilots. So, because the CPL holder has a certain experience at that point of time about aviation, has flown 200 hours, has cleared DGCA exams, has done RTR, has done the paperwork that is required, has done everything in order to get that license, and that equates to a lot of experience. A lot of, as in 200 hours, but better than the cadet pilot with 0 hours. Has an account for safety. The CPL holder has an account for safety. Cadet pilot does not have that, but is expected to understand those things and is expected to give those exams. So what happens is relative difficulty for both persons is pretty much the same.
Yes, for it is for that level of expertise, the exam is conducted and interview is conducted for that level of expertise.
Exactly.
So, but that candidate is expected to have certain interest and know certain basic facts about aviation, since that candidate is aspiring to become a pilot. A basic difference in side stick and control column, for example, is required to be known.
Yeah.
Certain analogies and certain terminologies are expected to be known. So if that is known, then a cadet pilot is selected. The entire selection process is for that level of expertise. So even for a CPL holder, for their expertise is definitely going to be more, and the assessment is going to be
Relatively more
relatively
difficult.
more challenging. So this is for the level of expertise, and for that level of experience, definitely every candidate would be assessed to their potential, and accordingly selection process would go on.
Correct.
So that is how it is. So it's not that this particular pathway is easy or other one is easy or more challenging. There are no two ways about it.
Yes, the
Both
level of
are equally-
the level of
yeah.
assessment is almost the same depending upon the experience which you have. For Cadet Pilot Program, it's like ab initio. You don't
the
have
only
any
thing
experience.
for Cadet Pilot Program, things are seamless. Once you are done with your selection process, then there is no waiting period. That is one advantage. So students who can afford that much amount, they should definitely consider choosing a cadet pilot pathway if they get selected. So it is not about a candidate to choose that
Yes,
whether
the
I
cadet
want
pilot,
to
yeah.
become a cadet pilot and they would become. So they should be selected after clearing certain assessments and rounds, including psychometry, group discussion, interview, and
As you
initial
mentioned, the waiting period for cadet. So there's a misconception that cadet pilot programs are made to wait 1 to 2 years after their training to get inducted into the airline. So pre-COVID, people used to complete their training in 2 to 2.5 years, and within 6 months they used to get into the airline. So if you consider 3 years, you will be into the airline. But after COVID, the wait after you complete your training was around 1 to 1.5 years, because there were many people who were selected before the COVID. They were waiting to get inducted, and as the capacity of the aircrafts of the airports were not increased immediately after COVID, so it was opening in phases, right?
Correct.
1 year after 1 year, it was operating at full capacity, and then 1.5 years later, the airline started to expand. That's when they need pilots, right? So that was the reason of delay of induction of cadets. Right now, if you see, after you get done with your training, within 6 months, you will be into the airline.
Correct.
Okay.
And that much delay is there for even conventional pathway. So if you have completed your type rating and you get your license endorsed, like in my case, so there was about 4 months, 3.5 to 4 months of gap between the time I got my type rating endorsed, aircraft endorsed on my CPL, till the time I got inducted, because so it depends on the sequence. So they have a sequence of induction and the requirement planned for coming year, and accordingly they would the airline would be inducting those pilots in sequence and as per requirement. So not everyone would be inducted at once, because of training also requires those many instructors, those many flights to be scheduled. So all of that requires a certain plan, and it goes as per that. So
Yes, and when COVID was going on, we had our CNTAA student only. They completed their training from the US.
correct.
And before, like, he just applied for his CPL, and he got the approval on EGCA, and he applied for a vacancy, and within no time he got into an airline. And
Correct.
so it all depends upon the time when vacancy is out, plus it depends on the preparation of the student pilot.
Correct.
So let's say someone has completed their training in February, and then March a vacancy come out. If that candidate is prepared for the interview, clears that interview in the first attempt, then within 3 months after his training, is into the airline.
True.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Absolutely.
And most often than not, it is like people would say that the delays are because of this or because of that or because of that. Usually the delays are because of the work that they are avoiding, the paperwork that they are avoiding, or the exams, clearing exams that they are avoiding, something or the other. Usually we say that, okay, fly these many hours, clear DGCA exams, do class 1 medical, class 2 medicals. Each of these things, guys, have paperwork associated with it.
Yes.
Like a lot of it. RTR exams, get the RTR basically license, and FRTOL, and
Correct.
all of these things, issuing SPL, doing paperwork for it. Thank you for doing most of my paperwork.
You're welcome. Nothing like that.
So yeah, and paperwork is tedious. Okay, but whenever a person is done with one phase, get the paperwork. If the person gets the paperwork done ASAP for that thing, you can reduce your flight training time significantly. Actually, induction time, flight training time. Even when someone gets into an airline, there is a lot of paperwork to be done with the airline. Also, there are police verification certificates, that, and all of those things take time. And including all of that, the way Chintan just said, that 2.5 years and 6 months. That is as long as you do it right on the time. Okay, that is how it is. Yep.
Because if we speak about police verification, it is different for different states.
Yeah.
And generally it takes around 2 to 3 weeks to get the police verification. Then you have to do the drug test plus the medicals with the airline. Then if there are any parameters up and down, you have to again go for the test. So that 6 months is particularly for that, for arranging the documents and stuff. So each and every document has to be valid. You have to be current with all the documents.
Correct.
And then you move on to the airline.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's about the time for the cadet versus conventional, right?
Correct.
And right now, what I think is, if someone is doing their conventional pilot program, training through conventional pilot program, they complete their CPL, do their type rating. Once they are done with their training, they should be prepared for the interview. The moment they have an opportunity on the first, they should clear that interview. That is the fastest way.
Absolutely.
And plus, nowadays, if you see, every 6 months there is one or the other vacancy which is coming out.
Right now,
even
women
more
only
frequent.
women only type rated vacancy has come, right?
Even CPL holders.
CPL holders as well.
holders
For
and
Air
type
India,
rated.
CPL holder vacancy plus 737 rating. This
And
came
for
out.
other airline,
For
Female
the
only.
largest airline in India.
Yes.
Largest airline, right?
Yes.
yes, like largest airline
Without
by
a doubt.
domestic share. They've
Without
come
a
up
doubt,
with-
domestic,
Yes,
anything.
Yes. They've come up with the vacancy for only female pilots, for CPL holders as well as for type rated, on the occasion of Women's Day. So that is on 8th March. So they have come up with a vacancy. This 25th Feb is the exam for the same.
Nice. Yep. Cool. Chintan, more female pilots in
Yes.
the airline. That
Yes, but you just fly the plane and follow the SOPs.
But what about after flight?
but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So to be honest, after flight, as you mentioned, so I just
conversational contrast.
So
what we were speaking? Go ahead.
So after flight, as you have mentioned, so last 2 weeks I was in Delhi for my sims and all.
How was
So,
your experience?
Sims and all were pretty good. Back to flying again. And the only thing, as you mentioned, that after flight or after sim, you mentioned. So I just tell you what the schedule looks like. So I was scheduled for red eye sims for most of the days. Okay, so technically
That means all night.
all night sims starting from like 12 a.m. until 4 a.m.
Oh.
So yes, so a couple of sims were in Noida and I was put up in Gurgaon. So like to go there, as farmers protest and everything is happening, it takes around 2.5 hours to reach there, then 1 hour of briefing, then if it's a check or something, 5 hours of sim time, then 1 hour of post brief and 2.5 hours of coming back. So by the time you come back to the hotel, you just sleep.
Yes, I have been there, done that.
And next day you wake up, you have the food, you study, and then go back to the sim.
Yes, you are in training phase. Once you are released, you will have more time.
Thank you.
on you.
Yeah. I plan to use that time efficiently.
Actually, Bhagyashree is behind you to get you married. Like,
Yes.
You'll have more time, as in more spare time, compared to since you're
Yes.
right
Training.
now training.
Mhm.
So your remaining time when you are in the hotel or home, it would be, you would have to study right now to get your next checks
Yes.
and then be on toes and keep learning for the same. And once you're released, you know certain things over time. Like at least first 3 to 500 hours, you still feel a bit, new to this. But afterwards, you start getting a bit comfortable. So at least off days you have to yourself to
Yes,
rest
yes.
and
And
relax.
plus the new FTTL laws will be implemented by the time I get released.
Yes.
rest, relax, and check out the newly recruited. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. And also, Bhagyashree is my wife. Okay, she is behind him to get him married. Okay, not. Okay,
Not otherwise.
you get it. What I mean? Yeah. Okay, so we are like chosen family to each other. That is how it is. And yeah.
Yeah. We'll get
Yep.
married soon then.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, now let's get back to the later part of this podcast, and that is the title of this podcast.
Yes.
Air India Cadet Pilot Program. So there used to be
Yes.
only one Cadet Pilot Program back in time. Now
We have two.
we have two, and
major
like
carriers in India.
yeah, biggest airlines, right? Like
Yes.
so, yeah, and
Absolutely.
biggest international airline and wide bodies airline, Air India. And now this trend seems to be continuing. Akasa might also come with, is likely to come with a cadet pilot program.
If Akasa comes up with a cadet pilot program, then all the airlines in India have a cadet pilot program.
All the
And-
major airlines.
All the major airlines have cadet pilot program.
And CNTAA is in talks with something that we can't disclose yet. So stay tuned for updates
Yes.
about it. But let's talk,
talk
as
about
this
the-
is a public information now. Air India has come up with cadet pilot program, and the eligibility. You wanna go, or who's going for it?
Yes, eligibility more or less remain the same. You have to be 18 to 30 years of age.
Yeah.
For Air India, it's mandatory to be an Indian citizen.
Yeah.
They haven't mentioned anything of the OCI card holder on their website. Plus, they have an interesting requirement. So we do get we do get questions about the height requirement, and there wasn't any document which says, okay, this is the minimum. So now what Air India has done in the eligibility criteria, they have given the height requirement as 158 centimeters. So now everyone knows, like, if you are above 158 centimeter or at 158 centimeter, you can apply for the program. But for other cadet pilot program, there's no minimum height requirement. Okay,
Correct.
there's something called as cockpit assessment test, which has to be done in case you feel that your height is little less
Correct.
little less to become an airline pilot.
Because in this vacancy, cadet pilot vacancy or cadet pilot
Mhm.
assessment opening, it is not mentioned that which airplane that is going to be for. So
Correct.
there will be a flexibility of airplanes
Correct.
as per their requirement, because the previous cadet pilot program airline, which is still the biggest cadet pilot program openings in Indian aviation industry, has only two types of airplanes. Air India, on the other hand, has multiple types of airplanes,
Correct.
starting from 787, 777, 737, 737 MAX, then A320, A320 family. Yeah, they are in orders, right? Yeah, those are in orders, and
A350.
and anyone that is recruited
Correct.
with this cadet
Right,
pilot
right,
program,
right.
the airline would be looking to induct them in
Correct,
coming
correct.
2.5 to 3 years. So yeah, for airlines, it is actually very convenient to recruit cadet pilots, because they can anticipate how many pilots we have in the pipeline and how many will they'll get in the coming time.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
it stays in rotation.
True.
Now that said, Yes, Cadet Pilot Program is also one of the nice options. It has always been, and now it makes this another airline opening with Cadet Pilot Program, opening of Cadet Pilot Program, makes it like it has more options of airlines now.
Yes, earlier there was only one good cadet pilot program, but now you have two good cadet pilot program to go forward with. And the adding on to the eligibility, you must be mentally and physically fit to become a pilot.
Absolutely.
So when we speak about mental health, the person should not be going under depression or should not have any mental condition which could affect the safety of the flight.
Yeah, it is a
Absolutely.
actually sensitive topic to be touched. So if
Mhm.
anyone is going through those conditions, consult an expert, and there is no shame in having such mental health conditions. The only point is, for aviation, many persons and passengers' lives depend on it, and that is why, while being under emotionally or mentally unstable state, one cannot or may not go for these programs. That is one thing.
So a person should maintain 18 to 25 BMI and be physically fit and able to produce class 1 DGCA class 1 medicals prior to commencing their flight training.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the existing other airline cadet pilot program, the biggest cadet pilot program that there is, the age limit is 32.
Yes.
Now, Air India age limit for cadet pilot assessments is slightly narrower, that is 30 years. And apart from that, the marks required for application were 51% for the other airline. Here it is 60%.
And 60% is not only for aggregate mark, but you need to have 60% and above as aggregate in 12th. They do not mention about diploma also. And it is mentioned that you need to have in individual subjects like physics, maths and English. Individual subjects also your score has to be above 60. So all of them needs to be met with.
Correct.
Yes, and earlier for other airlines like India's largest airline, it used to be like if someone is not able to meet this requirement of 51% or 60% in their 12th maths, physics and English, if they have a degree in science or if they have a degree which has maths and physics subjects, and if they score above some pointers or some grade, then it's okay. They will consider their degree marks. But right now, it's just 10 plus 2 with physics, maths and English. For India, it's more than 60%. Now, if a student does not have 60% in any of, let's say in physics, so that student can give physics via National Institute of Open Schooling, score above 60 marks, and then apply for the Air India Cadet Pilot Program.
Correct.
You're right.
As we have discussed the eligibility for Air India Cadet Pilot Program, so let's summarize it.
Yeah.
So Air India Cadet Pilot Program has a eligibility criteria where that candidate must be a citizen of India. OCI not mentioned, so that's not permitted. Must be fluent in English at written and verbal English, as well as age limit is from 18 to 30 years. Age limit, that's the maximum, is 30 as opposed to other airline 32. And there is a minimum percentage of 60% in 10 plus 2 with physics, maths and English, aggregate as well as individually. Apart from that, he must be in a good mental as well as physical health. So there should not be any mental health condition. And that candidate should be class 1 medically fit before commencement of this program. And height requirement here is increased, is 158 centimeters as airline has wide fleet of airplanes to meet with all requirements on all the airplanes. This is a height requirement. And that's the eligibility criteria for Air India Cadet Pilot Program.
Yeah, now the next question, that is an obvious question. What will be the cost of this program? Because it is not mentioned. But just to guess, what I'd say is it is again in collaboration with L3 Harris. So the cost should not vary too much for both the cadet pilot programs. They would be competitive with each other.
Correct.
Right now, the cost for L3RS cadet pilot program is $128,000 and likely to be, I don't know. Okay, it can be increased because we had paid more than $128,000, right?
Yes, that was as we have done our training for multi-engine CPL.
Yeah.
So that is why our pricing was a bit on the high side. Right now, they'll be doing single-engine CPL with multi-engine experience. So this is the quote as of now, and considering 84 rupees per dollar, the price in INR would be somewhere around 1 crore 6 to 1 crore 7 lakh rupees. So this is the rough estimate. If I'm
As of now.
Yes, as of now. I told 84 rupees per dollar if we consider the rate. So this is the price to consider if someone is planning to go for the Air India Cadet Pilot Program. They haven't
Plus-
disclosed the price as of now, but this is what we can estimate.
Absolutely.
Plus 10, 15, you can
Yes,
consider
yes.
if you are really like thinking of that
Mhm.
amount, because the prices can increase because of increase in fuel prices in the US.
Or even the
Yes.
dollar
So
rate.
dollar rate also needs to be taken into account. So considering all of it,
That
In-
is yes, that
it
is
can
there.
increase.
Plus there is one factor which is student performance.
yes.
So, I mean, we have discussed it, I'm not sure, but let's say if we compare flying in India and flying in the US. In India, most of the students get their CPL at 200 hours. So, the price for flying is almost fixed. But in US, a student gets a CPL when he passes the FAA check. So, in FAA check, he has to meet all the standards of a commercial pilot. Then only that person will get a CPL. So, if a person, let's say, needs additional training to achieve those requirements, then there's something called as overflight. So, that person has to fly 5-10 hours additional to achieve that skill. Okay, and that is considered as an overflight. So, depending on which aircraft they are flying, they'll be charged separately for that 10 hours. So, it's always preferred or it's always advised to keep a buffer or safety net of around 10 lakh rupees.
Yeah,
Correct,
makes sense. And then again, the conversion in here and all of those things can take little bit, a lakh or two here and
Mhm.
there, plus
Yes.
or minus something like that. Also, food is not included in the US flight schools usually, so paying for the food, and food is relatively expensive in Western countries. So yeah, that'll add something to that 1 crore 6 lakhs as on date number.
Yes, and it also varies as per a student's lifestyle. So if a student has a habit of going out every day to a restaurant to have food, then that will be expensive. Rather-
100%.
Yeah, if you compare it with a student who cooks their own meal,
Correct.
it would be cheaper.
Correct.
Now, another thing with Air India Cadet Pilot Program is they have a financing partner. So, financing partner meaning once a person gets LOI, then there would be, because Tata's itself is a huge company, right? They have financial institutions within their company, and Air India is a branch of it. So, say Tata Capital or something would be their financial partner. Speaking of which, financial partner, even if those are there, any financial institution requires collaterals in order to finance.
Correct.
So that needs to be there. There needs to be assets that could be mortgaged, in exchange of which financing could be done for the training. That is how it is. Well, once you get into an airline, it is not very difficult to pay off the loan that there is for this. It is not a problem. There are no mentions yet about how long is the contract going to be, but as soon as those are disclosed, then we can talk about it, right?
Yes, so today the Air India Cadet Pilot Program is launched, and we just sat down to discuss about it. So there are a couple of things which are yet to be disclosed by the company. One is the cost of the program. Second is the contract which they'll be signing. So on which type of aircraft they will be flying after they complete their training, plus how long is their bond with the airline, and what is the amount you have to keep it aside for the bond. And that is there. So, and plus the duration, like how much time it will take. So these three things are yet to be disclosed by the airline. So
Correct.
hopefully within a month, once they receive the applications, they'll be able to disclose it.
Correct.
Absolutely. By April or May or mid of this year, Akasa is also likely to come up with a cadet pilot program. So yeah, that is the news for today. And there is one more news that is significant, but we can't talk about it right now. Yet.
Maybe for future podcasts.
Yeah. That'll be there. Yes.
And plus, I'm not sure, like, do they give a job guarantee or a job assurance once
there
they
is
complete
no
their training?
such thing as guarantee, I believe, in
Cadet Pilot Program.
Cadet Pilot Program or anything. Guarantee is a very big word, actually. People use it very lightly, but guarantee is a big word because it depends on student performance. It depends on ability to finish the program. It depends on so many things. So, and also it depends on the airline. Like if the airline does not have requirement at a specific given period of time, they will definitely put potential cadet pilots on hold for some time, and when the airline requires those. See, now anticipated, yes, Air India has how many? 500 plus airplanes in order.
Yes.
So yeah, in coming 10 years there is a significant requirement anticipated, and this is to fulfill that requirement. What
Nice.
to choose between cadet and conventional? Here's a serious suggestion and advice. Do whatever that floats your boat.
Yes.
Like,
They're
yeah,
both
just
good,
check.
guys. They're both good.
Yes, they are both good. If in case your financial budget is fitting the cadet pilot expenses for the entire program, then definitely you can apply for it, and as you get selected, you can go for it. But if in case it does not fit into it, then there is no harm in doing conventional pathway as well, in which you can go for it, complete your flight training, then do type rating, or else you can apply for CPL vacancy and thereafter do type rating. So you know which aircraft you are getting on, and then you can do type rating on that specific type of aircraft and thereafter apply. So that is also an option, and doing it in a conventional pathway is also not bad either. So if you can go for cadet pilot program as you get selected, great. Otherwise, conventional pathway is also
Definitely.
is there an option.
But now, another question that is an obvious consequence of this discussion is, what are the airlines in India? The biggest airline, largest airline in India, Air India, huge airline, Akasa, upcoming airline. What else?
Vistara.
Which is again
Air India.
Air
Under
India.
Air India, yeah,
It will be merged
it will be
within
merged
a
soon,
year or two.
But,
Yeah,
as of now,
it's
Vistara.
Vistara and
Yeah.
Air India Express then.
Yes, so then Alliance,
Yeah.
which is very small, plus
Yeah, so
Air Asia, which is merged with Air India Express, which is now Air India Express Connect.
yeah.
So these two, and it is.
But those
also
are
comes
all under umbrella of Tata's, right?
Yes,
And
it
Air
does
India.
comes under umbrella of Tata. Yes,
Now the
that's correct.
only stand that Tata's have taken so far is Air India will not merge with Vistara until they replenish the service quality and the brand value of Air India to be equal as of to be equal with Vistara,
Mhm.
because Vistara has built pretty good brand value over a period of time.
Hmm.
and they will do that only when they both are shoulder to shoulder on the perceived value of the brand.
Mhm.
So pretty much there are 3 airlines in India, the big ones. So
Majority.
yeah, majority, right? And they all are coming up with Cadet Pilot Program. So in say 5-7 years, what do you think? Like, would there be there be vacancies for conventional pathways?
Yes, if we speak about 7 years from now, it is difficult to predict. But what I see is there'll be the Cadet Pilot Program, most of it, and there'll be part of conventional as well. Because what I predict is in coming 5 to 7 years, general aviation in India will also be a big thing. And to cater for the charter flights, the private jets, and any upcoming new airline, or if there is a sudden requirement of pilots,
Even
then
air taxi.
yes, air taxi as well. So predicting something accurately 5 to 7 years from now would be difficult. But if we have to give just a gist of it, then there'll be conventional vacancy as well.
Right.
Because I predict that the general aviation in India will be huge by
Yeah.
that time.
Last year we made a prediction. So like I was like, in 10 years, India will also have 1,000 hours or 1,500 hours rule like there is in the US. I'd say 9
10
years.
years.
9
is
years
still
to go.
quite,
9 years to go now.
Yes,
That's like 5 years.
so if the aviation industry in India has to reach closer to that of US, then there should be, or there will be a requirement of like 1,500 hours to get into the airline and stuff.
Well, matter of the fact, it is a massive job creation, right? If 1,500 hours requirement is enforced by DGCA, what happens is like flight schools need more instructors, correct? And
by DGCA.
Hmm?
Yeah,
1,500
DGCA.
by DGCA.
Yeah, 1,500 hours requirement will be by DGCA, right? Because that is by FAA in the US, the same way.
To
Or
fly
it can be
all-
enforced by airlines as well. We don't know. It can be by airlines as well. But what happens is it creates another job pillar or job opportunity, that is instructors. And if that requirement is there, then even Indian flight training infrastructure will, I believe, improve.
Yes,
Because-
and it will improve. Plus, for general aviation, the overall infrastructure of aviation
Yeah.
should improve.
Yeah.
And once that happens, then everyone will be flying by charter flights. You go from here to there.
Yeah. Speaking
book
of
your-
air taxis, we do have helicopters already. So I don't know how it is gonna be any different than helicopters.
Is coming up with air taxi. So air taxi is where it doesn't require the whole runway. It can.
Yeah.
It is like a car.
Mm-hmm.
If it is a different aerodynamic car,
Mhm.
which you can either drive
Mm-hmm.
on road,
Mm-hmm.
and if required, you can get airborne. Obviously, there are height restrictions as well as certain regulation requirements for the same, which will be approved in next coming 2 to 3 years, and that is already in the plan.
I'm a little conventional on that sense, because I look at it in a science point of view. Anytime an object has to vertically uplift, it has to create that much of downforce of
Yes,
air.
there will be.
And there is, I heard this from actually this Neil deGrasse and Elon Musk. They both have an opinion that there is a lot of noise that vertical uplift creates, which is true. Like anytime a helicopter lifts,
Mhm.
it is impossible to be in surrounding of that helicopter. It is literally impossible. And with the drone technology, with those 4 quadcopter technology,
Mhm.
that is not gonna reduce the downforce of the air. And so there will still need to be helipads or the air taxi pads for those things, without which it cannot. Like if we want to land somewhere, we just go and land. It's not possible because the debris will fly off, which can get sucked into the rotors. And so that is a sketchy technology, don't know. But whatever that is going on right now, like, see, these are opinions. Don't know was your opinion is that will happen in coming future. My opinion is only the helicopter, whatever helicopter industry that there is already, which exists, will increase in numbers with more improved helicopters or quadcopters, something like that. But it will be the same landscape of helicopters industry. And if flight training is included with instructor rating and then 1500 hours, I think that will grow Indian flight training industry, because right now Indian flight training industry is suffering a little bit. Like many students are going abroad for their flight training. For the minimum, if we consider one student spends approximately say $80,000 to $90,000 with accommodation and everything. Still around 1,000 pilots per year. That means approximately 80 to 90 million US dollars per year. That is almost equal to 800 crores is going out of India right now. So
that's a big number.
Yeah. What is your view on those things?
So I've seen the aviation minister speaking about improving the training infrastructure in India and try and train each and every pilot in Indian airspace. But there are challenges to it. We don't have adequate number of flight school to cater to that capacity. Plus, it takes a bit long to complete the training in India. Right now, if we speak about the current scenario, so almost all the flight schools in India are full. Plus the instructors, the experienced instructors who are working at those flight schools are hired by airlines in India.
Correct.
Okay, so now they're training new instructors and that will take a month or so. So right now the flying is slow in India. But once the instructors are trained, it will go back to where it was. But by that time, there'll be more number of pilots or more number of students enroll at that flight school.
Correct. The way it is structured right now, airlines and flight schools compete against each other in order to hire instructors or pilots. Like flight school is trying to hire an instructor, and the same pilot airline is trying to recruit. Right?
After a few years. Even
so
as a CPL holder.
Yeah, so CPL holder, anyone who does instructor rating or even some flight schools in India sponsor instructor rating as long as they pay it or sign a contract, right? So that competition will be gone if there is a 1500 hours rule. And more pilots will be recruited because flight schools will require instructors. So once 1500 hours are done, then airlines have that instructor ready to be recruited. The instructor is more experienced, has developed a sense of safety in better manner because has flown for 1500 hours. Though in a small plane, it does expose the pilot to a lot of decisions based upon safety, right? So I think that'll be good. So the gist of this is, before this 1500 hours requirement is there, get into an airline.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is Air India Cadet Pilot Program for you guys. It's called Fly High Cadet Pilot Program. You can look it up on Air India's website, L3 Harris's website. And as of now, as we speak, at least for another 3 to 5 years, conventional pathway has no problem. Okay, at least for 5 years. Even afterwards, most likely it should not have any problems. These are all our views, and like you can take information from it, and if you want to make decisions based upon it, you can. These are only our views and our personal views. Okay, good luck with your career. If you are appearing for your 12th now and preparing for your 12th, make sure to score more than 60% aggregate and in individual subjects, physics, maths and English.
Target for more than 90, but then
Yes.
60% is minimum.
Well, I was never a 90%er, okay, except for in DGCA exams. But yeah, I mean, you always have been 90%er. Okay, anyways, guys, give your best. If your best is not enough, then do even more. And yeah, do well. Good luck. If you are appearing for 12th exams, good luck for your exams. If you are appearing for DGCA exams, sign up for CNTAA online. And if you are an aspiring pilot, subscribe to the channel, like, share this podcast, whatever that you want to do. Yeah, we have finally crossed 5,000 numbers of subscribers, but still 60% of our viewers are not subscribers. This is zero cost to consumer podcast, guys. So let's get it to 10K within coming 4 months. That's doable, right? I think
Yes,
so.
yes.
We are trying to be regular as much as possible in next podcast. Maybe I won't be there, but Capt.Neha and Chintan, they both will be there. The Winged Engineer, and he is an available bachelor right now. Not available with respect to his time, but he is ready to be mingle. I don't know ready or not. According to my wife, he is ready. Thank you for viewing, watching, subscribing, and whatever that you do, listening. And just post it in comments. We are considering and going back and forth about publishing these podcasts on Spotify as well. So doing that, would that add any kind of value to you? Just let us know so that we can do it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify podcasts as well. But that will be an audio format only. This is video and audio format. Let us know, and your inputs will be very valuable to all of us. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Wish you all the very best if you are in 12th for your 12th exams. Thank you very much.
Yes, and cadet or conventional, whichever pathway you choose, make sure you give your best. And thank you for watching this podcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.